Now is the time. A time you'll look back on. A time you adopt as inspiration. You will recollect this time. This moment, right now. Motivate yourself towards success. Overcome. Take over. The time is now.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Even that.
Yeah, there's a little bit extra now. I had to extend it slightly, Pete. It could get bigger and bigger and bigger. You never know. Might be the full song before the season's out. But lads, first of all, I want to say last night, your show last night. Sorry, wrong one. This one, Maguire and Mitchell. Great show. Really enjoyed it. I got to see it all over the space of 24 hours. I got it in segments, but no, it was really good. Sorry you couldn't make it last night, but great show. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a great show. Having Kieran and Mitch on, it was just the way they bounced off each other in the first half an hour or so was just fantastic. It's one of those shows where you get a guest on, you could just listen to them all night. It was that good last night, so yeah, hope everybody else enjoyed it as well as much as we did.
I think so. They're not going to answer, but I think so.
They can put it in chat, can't they?
Yeah, they can do it in chat. Yeah. Right. Yeah, we have no Chris tonight. He's busy. He's still locked in that toilet that he was in last night. That was definitely a toilet, wasn't it? But yeah, and Martin is still winding and dining. He's probably carried on, Martin. But yeah, look, we have Paul with us tonight. So is it time to bring on the beautiful ball bastard, as someone referred to him today? And I'm not talking about you, Richie.
I knew it wouldn't be about me.
But I said we can't keep bringing Paul on this show without doing something. We're going to need an intro. So I created an intro. So here's Paul's intro. To bring on our guest for the night, I want to bring on Paul. Just before we're going to bring on Paul because he is heading off. He's going to be appearing on Love Island now next week. So we just caught him before he got on the show. So welcome, Paul. Payback.
You son of a bitch. Where did you dig that out? Seriously, that was literally, God almighty. That one of me old TikTok accounts from years ago.
That is brilliant.
Be careful.
Bloody hell. Hell's teeth. You've done some digging there, Daz.
Welcome to the show, Paul.
You bastard.
Was that really you?
Yeah. I look good, didn't I?
Oh, dear me.
Yeah, I went through some very, very lonely times back then.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Oh, my God.
Just remember, Paul, that's level 1. I go all the way.
How long have you been looking forward to the night, Daz? It's clear
only
you've done
2
some
weeks.
prep.
Only 2 weeks.
Since the date on that video.
Oh my God almighty. Hey.
We did say on the Toon review, Paul, that He's got 2 weeks worth of planning.
Yeah, you did.
We're
I know.
We're
I know. Hats off to you, Daz. I must say that's a good one.
Cheers, Paul. That's a compliment. Let's go. Let's carry on with the show. Let's talk about the football. I want to bring up a topic tonight. And yeah, there's been a few things circulating and a few things come up in the show last night, and it come up on your show as well, Paul. And I think you even put out a tweet. I want to talk about evolution, not revolution. Maybe I'll get rid of the banner as well for a second. So there's been talk, and there was on our show last night about this man, Jonjo Shelvey. Okay, so Jonjo Shelvey, for me, this is a revolution move. By if Jonjo Shelvey goes, it's not an evolution move, because Jonjo Shelvey's been with us for so long, and in the championship he was unreal. He took a downward trajectory with Bruce, but last season he was a class under Eddie. So, but yeah, he's getting on. He's on a big contract. What's your thoughts on? And I know, guys, you talked about it last night a bit with Mitch, but Paul, your thoughts on if Shelvey is to move on this summer?
Listen, I heard the other shows, and I sort of heard that about Shelvey might not want to stick around because of, he can't be guaranteed first team football, etc. But then on the flip side of that, he did say in an earlier interview that he wants to be part of this revolution thing, or so I don't know. I mean, for me, I'd give him another year. I really would. I think he would be handy to have around. But then I heard Malcolm McDonald on Steve's show this morning, I think it was, talking about Longstaff's new contract and how Longstaff doesn't seem to be able to play alongside Jonjo Shelvey. There seems to be a problem there that they just can't click together. And when Shelvey's not on the side, Longstaff plays better. So I don't know where I stand on it. I mean, if he goes, I'll say good luck, you know what I mean? But I'd keep him another year, just to have him around. I know he has his moments, Jonjo Shelvey, but I think since Eddie Howe's come in, he's a changed player. I think both mentally and physically. I think physically he's a lot fitter, and mentally, I think Eddie Howe's just told him to grow up and stop the stupid bookings, etc. I think for me, I think he's good to have around for another year.
Cool. I'd agree. I'd be of the same opinion. I'd keep him for another year and then sell him on, because I thought he did really well. Even though I was in the past a massive critic of his, but last season I thought he did really well. And I thought when he wasn't playing, we did miss him. But if it is a revolutionary move to get rid of Jonjo Shelvey, that to me would also shake up things at the back, because the way, we know, and I know you guys talked about last night, and we'll bring in Pete and Richie here, the way Shar and Byrne can bring the ball out from the back. They're comfortable with the ball. One man that isn't so comfortable on the ball, and it's a pity that Martin isn't here, because I'm going to throw this man in as well, is Jamal Lascelles. So he to me...
Is that where Martin is tonight? Is he building the boat? Is he building the boat?
He's helping Noah build the ark, yeah.
Yeah.
Ship them all out. You know what Martin's like. Yeah, so Jamal Lascelles, he to me, when he's playing, he doesn't bring the ball out, or when he does bring the ball out, he launches it, or he brings the ball out, then taps it to Shelvey, because Shelvey's playing in that kind of quarterback role, and then we'll pick the Hollywood pass out to someone else. But so if you were going to do that switch, and I know we have to be patient and make it in stages. But if you're going to get rid of Jonjo Shelvey, you might as well get rid of Jamal Lascelles, because that's he's so used to playing it to Shelvey and then carrying on. But that's your thoughts on maybe Jonjo and Jamal Lascelles. Pete.
Jonjo has done really well. I agree with Paul. He's really kind of kicked himself back into gear again under Eddie Howe, and I'm not surprised he's talking about wanting to stay at the club, because he can see where the club's going. But there's been a constant talk about having too many players over the age of 30, and with Jonjo Shelvey's current contract making him one of the highest wage earners, I think it makes sense, and I think there's something maybe in it, the fact that he's not played recently. I touched on last night that maybe he didn't get the injury that everyone supposedly believes with his calf. And I think maybe he's been told that he's not going to get regular football. So that's why he's maybe not played. So with Sean Longstaff, I think he's been fantastic the last 2 games. I don't know what you boys think. I think he was brilliant against Arsenal. I think he showed a different side to his game against Burnley. He had some grit. He dug in. He got stuck into tackles. He was very, very good. And if we can harness that into next season, I don't think we need Jonjo Shelvey. We don't need a defensive midfielder. And I know Mark's talked about that before, having a defensive midfielder. If we've got a fluid midfield, we don't need him. We don't need one. So I think it would make sense to get rid of Shelvey for that reason, because he's not got the legs like Longstaff, Bruno, Joe Linton, Willock. They've all got legs. Bring Paqueta in, fingers crossed. All got legs, all can work hard, all got ability going forward, because that's what we want to be a team. We want to be a team that's going forward and attacking.
Cool, Pete. Sorry, I'm distracted by some of these comments coming in.
Yeah, go man.
Seems like the video went down well. We can play it at the end of the show if people like. Let's see what the chat thinks of that. But yeah, I agree with some of your points there, Pete. And again, Lascelles did play well in the last game there as well, the last 2 games. And yeah, if Eddie Howe can work some magic on him, maybe he could have a use as some kind of a squad player. Well, really well down the pecking order. But if you think about it, we're talking about bringing in at least 1 centre back, if not 2, and Shar and Bernard are current favourite for those positions. Lascelles is well down that pecking order. Richie, thoughts on Jonjo and Lascelles?
To be fair, by both lads have already covered it, but as we discussed last night, the whole game plan by Eddie Howe now is about that high press, legs in midfield and stuff like that, which you look at the Arsenal game in particular, and we were exceptional in that game, the way we did it from front up front, the front 3 and then the middle 3 as well. But if you look at the way that Sean Longstaff played in that, he's got a confidence back about him as well. He's, as I think it was Pete that touched on about, there's that relationship with Shelvey, the calm player. It might be you, Dan, sorry, whoever was said it, about that link between that Shelvey and Longstaff can't possibly play together. So it might be that fact that he's not playing with Shelvey. He trusts Joe Linton and Bruno in the middle with him. So, we saw him umpteen times getting down the wing, and he was putting balls in. He was getting in more advanced into that number 10 role, which he was, whenever he's had his loan spells, he was fantastic in. And I think one of the key points I'd say about his confidence coming back is, if you look at that lovely ball that he made for Callum Wilson, which obviously was in the build-up to the second goal for Bruno, he would never have tried that a lot, a couple of months ago. But also, even before that ball, where he plays it through, the fact that the way he won the ball back on the edge of the box, he made sure he was getting that ball. It looked as though there was going to be a 50-50 odd, but he put that much effort to get into the ball. He was there a yard before the Arsenal player. He was able to turn. He had that much time. He turned, and that lovely little flick through that split the 2 centre halves in 2. That's a ball of someone who's playing with confidence, and obviously the belief of his manager and his teammates and stuff like that. So if he can build on that, and we've got now a full pre-season under Eddie Howe, we've seen what Eddie's done with players in half a season. What's he going to do with a full pre-season in them as well? A few more quality transfers that are added to the squad as well. You're going to see, possibly a different Newcastle next year, because he's going to be able to implement that from the start with all these extra players. And, whether it's 4-3-3, how he wants to play going forward, and, we don't know yet, but we imagine it will be. But having those quality additions around him and the extra confidence, you're going to see a lot of other players raise their standard of the game, and that's what you need now in this sort of project.
I give him man of the match on Sunday against Burnley. I thought he was brilliant. Longstaff, he put himself about everywhere, and I never thought I'd ever do that this season. So, he definitely has improved.
Yeah, he did. He linked really well with Bruno as well. Obviously Miggy came on because Joe Linton got injured quite early, and Miggy's just Miggy. He kind of just runs around and he's kind of that type of player. But the control and quality on the ball is very much like they had a connection. Their little passage of plays, they were involved in the little triangles, whether it was with ASM or with Murphy. It just looked like a proper midfield. Like we dominated Burnley. Like, we really did football wise. We dominated them, which is we can't say that we've done very often this season.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to move on. I'm going to stick with the same kind of topic, evolution, not revolution. And I want to throw in what is happening at Villa, right? With Villa, they're after bringing in Coutinho or making it permanent with Coutinho, but they're after taking some of the players we were linked with in January or have been talked about for a while. Or were we, or have we moved on past that? In the shape of Kamara, they've got him now. And I believe today they've got Diego Silva, who we tried very hard to get in January.
Diego Carlos.
That's the first Sinclair of the evening.
Sorry.
Is that what it's called for?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Jason gives out Sinclairs every week, and I think that's just the first one gone there.
No, I deserve that. I deserve that. But
mind you, I called him Roberto Carlos the other day, so I wouldn't worry.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't mind signing prime Roberto Carlos to be fair.
Except for Trippier can fight over the free kicks then. But Diego Silva even. Yeah, so they've looked like they've got him now as well. Now, at the time when we were in January, I was saying that I wouldn't have spent all that money on him because he's on the wrong side of he's edging towards 30, let's say. So I wouldn't have paid the big bucks for him. But thoughts on who we haven't got, and are you excited about who we're going to get if we're not bothering going for them now? Who we are looking to get? So, kind of general question like that. Paul,
listen, Carlos, he would be a great signing. There's no doubt about it. But I think he's looking for younger players. I really think that, he might sign, somebody for experience, during the transfer window, have a couple of experienced players in there. But I do believe that he's going to look on the younger side of, say like 23, 24-year-olds. It's like Aston Villa have just sort of sent us out to do their scouting work, you know what I mean? And signing every bugger that we were looking for in January, just to try and close us off. The Villa fans, the way they're going on Twitter is ridiculous. They think they're going to win the league the way they're going on. But I just think, given time, I think we'll see during the summer that we want to have a youthful squad with a few experienced players in there, players that get the ball and look forward. The transfer show did earlier on today, the midfielders that we looked at get the ball and then move forward. They don't turn backwards. And I think we've had enough of seeing football like that. We want to see football where players are getting the ball now and going towards the opposition goal, not turning back with that rugby style of football that we played, that we have to pass back to go forward. So I think hopefully that's going to change, because there's a couple of centre-backs out there, that we've mentioned numerous times. Botman is obviously one of them because he's not definitely going to AC Milan. There's another one, I can't remember his name, but he's an absolute monster that Alex brought up. So I'm not worried that Carlos has gone to Villa at all.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's Richie, we'll go to you first. Your thoughts?
Do you know what? I think there was a really relevant point on Twitter earlier on, and it was about the fact that they're buying overpriced players technically now who are demanding high wages and stuff like that. It's something that could kick them up the backside in a few years, and which to me was key. We mentioned it last night, and we also mentioned it back in January. We like the fact that this consortium aren't, being bullied by, as the term that Kieran Maguire said last night. There's a price, then there's a tourist price, and there's the American price, and everybody's trying to sell us the players at the American price. And if you look, Sevilla were after 60 million, I think it was. They're trying to get Diego Carlos to go for in January, and they've let him go for less than half than that, a lot less than half, or 2/3 less than that. That speaks volumes, and to be fair, it's more positive volume for us, at the fact that our owners and whoever's doing the transfers won't be bullied. And we've got a transfer budget, and yes, we might be the richest club in the world. That doesn't mean we're just going to splash it willy-nilly, a bit like Everton did. We don't want to get into the shit that they did. We did very, very good, sensible business in January, and that's the model that we've still got to go for. Yes, the consortium will make mistakes as we go along. Every club do that because every purchase you buy will never ever be a success. If you would, you'd be top of the league every season, winning everything because you'd be reliable on that. You're always going to get mistakes no matter who you are. We saw Rafa bring some fantastic players in, but we also saw some duds come in under him as well. And that's been the case when he moved on to Everton as well. So the one thing that, I think the one thing that really, really stands out to us, and obviously there's a few people saying there's been those rumours again about Neymar possibly coming in and being linked. And there was someone on Twitter today saying that, PSG might be willing to let him go, but the only club that would be able to afford him is Newcastle. Yes, he's a fantastic player and he'll be that marquee side that the Saudis want, but he's not the person that we need. He hasn't got that. For me, he wouldn't knuckle down, and it's not the sort of person you'd want in a dogfight with you alongside you in the trenches, and that's what you need. Everybody to have that willingness to battle as it goes on, and stuff like that, and that's what we need. If we can get, so I think someone mentioned in the chat there, what would you rather have? 7 decent, good players or 3 world-class players that are you paying over the hill for? And obviously, to be fair, Diego Carlos isn't really classed as a world-class player because he isn't even in the Brazilian full international. He only got through the Olympic squad. So I'd be looking at other targets myself and younger ones that we can develop as well.
Yeah, good shout, Richie. Pete, your thoughts?
Yeah, just on the Neymar stuff before I get onto the other bit. On the Neymar talk, obviously speaking to Lee, who's a PSG fan, he said that they want rid of Neymar. They want him gone. But the problem is that they've got no one that can afford him, his wages and his transfer fee. And I think they're willing to seriously reduce the transfer fee to way below how much they sold him for, even into the sort of 60, 70 million to try and just get him off the books. They want him gone. But I agree with Rich. He's not the guy we need to be looking for. We need to be trying to make stars rather than buy the current stars right now. I think that's where we're at. But going to Aston Villa just remind me of prime 3-4 years ago West Ham, because West Ham 3 or 4 years ago did exactly what Aston Villa are doing right now. It did no scouting whatsoever. Just looked at what Newcastle signed and gone, yeah, we like them. We can pay a little bit more money. Let's go and get them. And it's just prime West Ham 3 or 4 years ago. It's a little bit embarrassing, if I'm honest. But hey, we move on from that. The one thing I'll say about Aston Villa is Aston Villa need to sign players and make a push now. They're scared. I genuinely think Aston Villa are scared. They're scared about us. They're literally trying to jump the gun on us. They're trying to, because they need to get European football to withstand and sustain, a little bit like West Ham, sustain what they're currently pushing in terms of, okay, they've not spent a lot of money, but they're going to spend more. Okay, they're not going to get loads in transfer fees, so they're going to spend more money this summer, and they're trying to make that quick push now for the top 7, top 8, because they know if they don't get it this season, that Newcastle United are there to pounce, and that's why they're pushing so far so quickly. And I think if Aston Villa don't get anywhere above 9th in the table, I think financially they'll start to struggle, because all the Grealish money would have been long spent by then. And they'll be going into their own budget. I think they'll really start to struggle after this point. So it's a case of, for Villa, now or never. But for Steven Gerrard, it's now or never. He came in, had a great start. Everyone talked about Gerrard's great. He's this, that, and the other. He's had an awful end to the season. He's been shite. Yeah. And Eddie Howe has played and managed his team better than them, and we finished above them, and deservedly so. So going back to Diego Carlos, am I annoyed at the fact that they've signed him? Not really. That's not to say that he's shit. I'm not going to go, yeah, he's shit. We don't need him. He's a good player. But at 29 years old, and for a team like ours that's trying to bring our age gap down, it's not really the right move for us at this point in time. We're going to go for a younger, better centre-back. And, Paul, you talked about it just a second ago. about the Sven Botman situation and the fact AC Milan are not dead certs to sign him anymore, and he's up in the air and he's available to anybody. He's the perfect signing to go and get right now. But there are others too. Badiashile at Monaco, another very good young left-sided centre-back that could come in as well. So I'm not going to hang my hat on Botman and be the only one. He's the one I'd like, but there are others out there. So I'm not bothered about, Diego Carlos. I'm not bothered about Kamara either. I'm not bothered about him. I think if Aston Villa are not playing European football within a year or two, I think I can't remember who I said it to. I think I said it to the Geordies down south boys earlier. He'll have a clause in his contract that if they don't get Champions League or European football in 2 years, that he's got a clause to move on. And I don't think he'll stay around very long because he's a very good player. They're very lucky to have him.
Cool. That's it. He'd be 31. But Evan and Dickie as well as other players that we been linked with as well. And of course, we believe Eddie was out scouting them there a week or so ago. Sorry, Richie, what were you going to say?
Yeah, it was just Brew Y in the chat was just wanting to, obviously, I know Jordy Mick explained it a little bit. He wanted to know how Villa were getting players when the window's not open until the 10th. It's basically you're basically making an agreement for the deal to go through on the 10th. It's a bit like when you get a free transfer from overseas. Say, for example, if we were to buy someone from Italy in the last 6 months of the contract, they can sign a pre-contract agreement to join someone at the start of next season. That's basically what they're doing. And a lot of the clubs are allowing them to do it as well because they know what money they're getting in, so then they can buy replacements with that sort of money as well. So I
can't sign the contract till the 10th, can they?
Yeah, that's it. It's all agreed. It's all done. They just can't put, or even if you could go over and sign the contract, but it'll have the 10th of June on the contract that it starts. There's loads of ways and means around it, but it just means he's a player there next year. But I hope that clears things up for you, Brew Wine. Obviously, Jordy Mick touched on that briefly as well. But sorry, Daz.
No, cool, Richie. It's a pre-order. It's like ordering something before it comes in. Right. Let's go to another topic, and I said I would throw this topic in, but because I know, Paul, while I did watch your transfer show today, I didn't get to watch this one, and it was about left backs. And I know you had a show talking about, and kind of links in with the Villa talk with Matt Target, Lodi, and then I want to throw two more people into there as well. I'm going to throw Kieran Tierney and Aaron Hickey in there as well. As potential left backs, I know Aaron Hickey can play left and right back, but what are you having there? If I throw those four at you, or you can bring in two if you like. Who would you take?
Well, a lot of people are saying bring in two, aren't they? Lodi and Target. I don't think you'll go for two. Listen, I've said all along that Matt Target would still be my number one choice. I think he deserves it for the way he's played. He's put himself right at the top of the list, I think, because what you get with Matt Target is he's like a steady Eddie, isn't he? He's constantly over 7 out of 10 every game, apart from the Spurs game away where nobody played well, but he's just so good on the ball. He's so good with tackling. He's calm when he's got the ball. He doesn't panic when people run at him. And yeah, people have said about him, his crossing's not as good as maybe Lodi's is, but me and Alex did he put the stats up on Lodi the other day, and they're not that great. If you look at them, then they're not great. And I just think with Matt Target, he's tried and tested. There's no reason that we shouldn't go for him because unless he doesn't want to come. Unless he wants to go somewhere else. But there is no reason in my eyes that he should not be signed by Newcastle for what he's done for the 6 months he's been here. Yeah,
I'd agree with that. Like for Matt Target, he deserves, if he wants to, and he doesn't want to move somewhere closer to home or whatever, I'd bring him in, and then bring in someone else as well. But I know, do you want to bring in two left backs and blow that you could spin on the extra bit? You could spin on a striker or wherever across the pitch. But
the 5 subs make a difference, Darius. You know what I mean? That the fact that we can bring 5 subs on next season. If we have backup in quite a few positions that we can put on the bench. So basically, when we bring a player off, we're replacing him with equal quality, rather than somebody who's not quite as good. We've got that option there that whoever starts, if we have to bring them off for whatever reason, there's just the same quality sitting on the bench ready to come on. So he may look at it that way. Yeah,
exactly. Like instead of trying to pace yourself over 90 minutes, go for it for 60, and because we're going to take you off anyway, tell them that before they even go on the pitch, and it could be standard kind of substitution we would make. Pete, we'll go to you next on the 4 left backs I've put up there, or throw in someone else if you'd like.
I think the club's torn at the moment. I think the club's torn. I think the club would like to sign Matt Targett, but I think Matt Targett wants to be that first choice. And I 100% agree with what Paul said. He deserves to get a permanent move to Newcastle. He's been fantastic for us. He's been brilliant. I can't remember, maybe going back to Jose Enrique, is the last left back that's played as well as him in our team. So he deserves to get a permanent move. But Lodi, Atletico Madrid, Champions League left back, plays for Brazil, good friends with not just Trippier but Bruno Guimaraes as well in the international squad. 15 odd caps. I think that's the pull. That's the pull, the push-pull that the club have got at the moment, Nixon and Howe, and they're thinking, we want Target, but we've got a chance to get this guy. And if rumours are true, 25 million potentially for a lad that I think he's 22, 23 years old. Like it's a snip potentially.
See, do you really think though, Pete, that he's going to be that cheap? But, with all you've mentioned, Champions League experience, Brazil international, all of this, £25 million just seems like an absolute snip for a player. When you look at other players that have gone for certain transfer fees, do you honestly think 25 mil we would get him for? It's crazy, isn't it, when you think it?
Well, to be fair, though, Paul, what you got to think is, did anybody expect Newcastle getting Kieran Trippier for 12 million?
That's a good point, yeah.
I was about to say exactly the same. Everyone was banding Trippier at 25, 30, 35 million.
Absolutely.
We ended up getting him at 12 or 13. So, when you look at it that way, and exactly what Rich said, it's like, actually, maybe we can get him for that.
It's the same as the Diego Carlos thing. Did anybody imagine him going to Villa for how little he's gone for when what we were being quoted?
He wasn't worth the money.
I know, but I'm using it as a valuation. What we might be thinking as a valuation. It's like when we got Wood and Trippier for the combined 37 million. People were going, "Oh, we've paid 25 million for Chris Wood," but then you say we've paid 37 million for Wood and Trippier. Would that be a right man? People would probably go, "Yeah, I'd probably pay that for both of them," because you'd have probably switched the figures around.
£25 million for Lodi and £25 million for Wood. It makes you laugh, man.
Soon review Stato. Alex is in the chat. He just said, obviously, his contract expires 2025 with an estimate of 25 million euros. So that's less than 25 million. So then you're bringing the price down even more so, which means it's even more of a snip than it was when we quoted it at 25 million. So you're right. You're right to question it, Paul. You're absolutely right.
Well, so somebody's just made a point in the comments saying that the Spanish league is hemorrhaging money at the minute, which it is. So maybe that's maybe why we're targeting more Spanish teams, is because the market over there is completely different to the market in any other country because of the financial situation that the clubs find themselves in. So
hashtag Spanishness.
Hashtag Spanishness. Oh, we're going there again. I'm not starting no wars tonight, I'm telling you.
Boys, if that's the case, let's try and lowball Real Sociedad and get Mikel Merino back in midfield. It'd be a hell of a player to bring in.
Do you know what it is though? It's funny, Pete, because nobody's mentioned him, have they? He made a comment back in January saying that he would love to come back because he thinks he's got unfinished business here, but nothing has been mentioned to him. In the press with the fans, nothing.
I did see something about him possibly being linked with Man City a few months ago. I don't know if anybody else saw that. But Man City were possibly interested in him. So it might be something that's on the back burner, or, as Mitch said last night, for each position we're looking at, we're going to have an A choice, a B choice, and a C choice. So for all we know, everyone's rumoured that we're looking at Lucas Paqueta as our, number one midfield target. We don't necessarily mean that if we don't get him, Marino's not the second one on the list. We don't know. It's all swings and roundabouts at the minute until, anything definitive comes out from the club. So,
and you have to remember a few things that we've said on our show is that when you look back to January and the signings that we brought in, Matt Targett, nobody knew about him. Dan Burn, nobody knew that we were going for him. Chris Wood happened overnight. So they may have other names that just haven't been leaked out to anybody that we may just go in and suddenly, he's coming in for a medical this afternoon. It could be that quick because it happened in January, and that's certainly not to say it won't happen again in the summer.
I would love that. Boys,
yeah, absolutely.
What would you feel about one of those ones where there's no links, there's no confirmation from Ornstein that we've got a deal done or Romano? It's just a case of bang, the club just put it out there.
Can you imagine it was somebody like Neymar? It's our marquee signing for the summer. Just mental, man.
That could never be kept quiet, though, surely.
No. Well, surely. I know. I mean, I can understand Chris Wood being quiet because he wasn't really on anybody's radar. But, Dan Burn.
Except Martin and Paul Oxley, because Paul's in the chat.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, Richie, anything else you want to say about left back?
Left back, it's interesting because obviously the question that we got put last night was about Kieran Tierney and links of going after for 50 million. Now, for me, I think he's a fantastic player. And as we said last night, Scotland's influx of left backs is the equivalent of England right backs. They've got Andy Robertson, they've got Kieran Tierney, and they've got Aaron Hickey as full backs. They've got some fantastic full backs there. 50 million for, I think it's overpriced, if I'm honest with you. Obviously, we touched on, Jamal Lewis possibly being a really good understudy next year because, as we've said umpteen times on this channel, Jurgen Klopp doesn't go after someone if they're a bad player. It sounds like we're a broken record saying this because we've said it umpteen times on this channel. Yeah. But so there's got to be a player in there, and it could be that he had that niggling injury, which why he was left out there. They've just wanted his body to get healthy and stuff like that. But if it is where they decide where they are going to move on, they are going to need two fullbacks. And for me, I'd rather spend that 50 million on two left backs and look at Loddy and possibly Aaron Hickey, two fantastic fullbacks. And you're getting them for probably less than you would for the price that you're getting quoted for Tierney, who, to be fair, has had his injury problems in recent seasons as well. Don't get me wrong, fantastic player, and he makes a hell of a lot of difference to Arsenal down that left-hand side when he plays. But at the same time, they can't guarantee he wants to play in the position he wants to play in. They play him at left back, they play him at left centre back, they play him at centre back. He doesn't, he wants to have that set position. If he wants to play left back or left wing back to try and force himself ahead of Andy Robertson, which is already a very, very tough task. Obviously, he's going to need to play in that position for a team that's going to be challenging next season, which, to be fair, I think, we're not expecting to be top four challenge. I think a lot of us have fairly said, if we can get towards that bottom end of possible European qualification, that's probably our next viable, realistic step for next season. He needs to be playing in a team that's doing that every single week to be, pushing Andrew Robertson, especially with the World Cup coming up at the end of the year. So he obviously needs to prove his fitness as well. So 50 million, I think that, as we said last night, you'd have to go for something like a loan for 12 months and then with an option or obligation to buy on that one once he's proved his fitness. And then obviously the 50 million fee would then be reduced because he's got less time on his contract as well. So that's what I would be doing.
Good points, Richie.
Sorry, go on, guys.
No, you go ahead first, Pete.
All I was going to say is that you mentioned Hickey, and he's a great shout. The one thing I say about Hickey is that he can play both sides.
Both sides.
Left and right back. Predominantly left, but can play right back as well. So that's...
If you give me a choice between Hickey and Tierney, I'd take Hickey every time. I don't think we can trust the fitness of Tierney, to be honest. He hasn't played a great deal of football. And then, for what we want to do we want to bring somebody in again who isn't reliable to stay fit? I think we've got to look at injury records as well before we sign players this time.
Yeah, I think so, and that would keep Stu Pillman happy. Once we have one Scottish guy coming in, that'll keep him happy. But and to tie it in to what you were saying last night, that's because you made some great points last night in this topic. And what Mitch said about Jamal Lewis, about he's never really looked the same since the boot to the face. Was it from the Brighton lad, Basuma, whatever? It was a boot to the face, and he hasn't looked the same since. So. Now I want to tie in with something else. Move topic. I'm gonna go to the kits because you were talking about the kits last night, and I got a few more pictures of the kits because so people could see them properly. So if they haven't seen them already, but I'm gonna go for the third one first, or third or away, whatever it might be, if it's even real. So this is it here. The blue and gold, blue and yellow, whatever you're having yourself. And you'll notice on the back, you're talking about the 130 years and on the horizontal and in UFC on the vertical. But I haven't heard anyone say, because everyone's talking obviously about the green and white one and the link to Saudi Arabia. But do you see the Brazil link in here? Did you see that?
The Brazilian change kit, yeah.
Yeah. So that was what I was going to say about that. And then obviously we have the third kit and the away kit.
Sorry, did I just see somebody comment that Neymar's in Newcastle Airport being seen buying 200 times? Hey, I tell you what, it won't be long before the plane spotters are out, though. You can guarantee the flight radars will be on Twitter and everywhere.
Wait,
so.
they were out last week for Paqueta's trip over to see.
I saw that. Yeah. Jesus,
they were on the ball actually there. But yeah, the kits in general, lads. I'm sure you talked about it a bit last night, Paul. I'm sure you've talked about it in a few of your shows as well. What's your thoughts on them? If they're real, and which ones are you buying? Are you buying all three?
I'm buying all three. I've heard some people say that they don't like the blue one now. At first, it was all they don't like the green one, but then some people on my show were saying, "Oh, I don't like the blue one." I bloody love the blue one, especially the sleeves.
Love the blue one too.
You know, I played in blue and yellow in ice hockey all my life. You know, at Durham, so those colours are quite, quite lovely to me. So I love it. I absolutely love the blue one. I love the green one as well, and I love the black and white one. I mean, there's not much you can do with black and white stripes, lads, is there? You know what I mean?
No.
Apart from mess it up like they did this season. But you know my gripe with Castore, I don't want to wear a beach volleyball shirt. I want a proper shirt that fits. So I really like the blue on the black and white. I think it looks lovely. But it all depends on who the sponsor is. I think it's Aramco, but time will tell on that one. But I don't want the red numbers on the back anymore. I think we need to change that up. But I really love the strips. Really love them.
Any more chat about the kits, lads, you want to say?
Do you know what? In regards to the blue one, the one thing I would possibly change about the blue one is you know how obviously Paul's just said he loves the sleeves. I would do the vertical yellow from the bottom of the shirt as well, just so And I think because it looks apart from that, it looks a bit plain.
Yeah,
I just think if you did that going from the bottom of the shirt, I think that would just make it a little bit.
The sponsor could change that though, Rich. If you think about it, though, when the sponsor goes on, it won't look as plain, will it? But I'm with you. I think it'd look mint.
Yeah,
like a Baca Juniors top as well.
Yeah. See, one thing that was mentioned last night, which we were going to bring up, but Mitch beat us to it, was the fact that if you actually look at the colours of the shirts, it's actually all. If you were to go for Aramco, it's all in Aramco's colour palette that they actually use on all of their logos.
Yeah,
so
it is.
It's very, very, especially the blue, because there's a few people were kicking off saying the blue's too light. It needs to be like the Blue Star blue type thing. But then if it is Aramco and they use that, which I think there's been different, pictures on Twitter doing the round where they've either had Aramco with a black sponsor with the white outline, or they've had the blue or whatever to tie it all in. So do you know what?
Do you guys not think that Newcastle know who the new sponsor is going to be? They've gone to Castore with the colour patterns and said, right, we need strips basically that incorporate all this. They must have. You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, Mitch on the show last night, he alluded to it. He was of the mindset that the sponsorship is already in the mail. It's already with the Premier League, and it's because of the Chelsea issue, and the fact that they've been prioritising this Chelsea takeover is the reason why it hasn't been rubber stamped yet. But that was his sort of thoughts about it all. I'm inclined to agree with him. You don't, or you shouldn't, if you know what you're doing, design a kit without knowing what the sponsor is. Like, just don't do that. Like, it's
what you mean, like they did last year?
Yeah, I'm going to say I think they've learned from the mistake.
That was my class Newcastle United. You know, well, what do you expect? Like, exactly. He couldn't care less. But like this new ownership knows what they're doing. They're looking at everything in detail because they know everything they do now is reflective of them. So they're going to want to make sure that everything is on point. Now, look, just literally inject that green and white top into these veins right now, because I'm going to get as many as I financially possibly can.
Oh, the saltiness is going to be incredible from other fans. That's why I think all Newcastle fans are going to make a beeline for that one as soon as it's released, just so we can all like show photos on Twitter of us wearing it, saying, you know, a big up yours. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, do you know what they should do is make if everyone who goes to an away game next year, it should be compulsory that you wear the white and green shirt to go with it, just to wind every team that will play away from home next year.
Or you could turn around and say, for every black and white shirt bought, we'll give you the away one for free or half price. You know what I mean? Just to get the sales going.
You know what? Even more so, what they should do as a little thank you gift, first home game of the season, all the media party that are in, give them a little hamper as a thank you. Miguel Delaney, Luke Edwards,
Ollie Holt,
all the rest of them. Just put a little hamper in there, a little thank you gift. The green and white kit as a thank you. Say thank you for coming in conversation with Newcastle United. But the key is, you got to wear it if you're coming into St. James's Park. That's the key. Now let's see what happens there. They will soon disappear.
Interesting.
Good on them. Fuck off.
I was going to say, just before we move on, obviously I want to clarify, Pete might know this, and so might Paul. Daz has actually put, not our Daz, another Daz, we can't have a Ramco though, because our chairman is chairman of a Ramco as well. Now, I'm going off what Mitch said last night. You can have third-party related deals now. The major issue when it was all kicked off was it couldn't be overinflated. It had to be, market rate, which was obviously
exactly, which doesn't seem to me like there'd be a problem.
No, but it's like what Mitch mentioned again last night. Newcastle are looking for $7.5 million for a sleeve sponsor, and then obviously for a shirt sponsor, it's roughly 3 times that amount. So, and that's I think what he mentioned last night was. Man City are on it. What was it? Was it something like 100 million for a shirt sponsor? Man City run. So you look at 22.5 million for a Ramco to be our shirt sponsor. Technically, that's well within third party related, fairness really compared to other deals that are getting made in the Premier League.
Yeah, cool. Just before we leave the shirts, because we want to move on to the top, and you mentioned the 4 from last year's kit. I was talking to my 4-year-old and I showed him this picture for the show, and I said, "Which one am I?" And his answer was, "You're the one with the 4 on the shirt."
Sorry, I can't keep when you put that thumbnail up, right? But when you put the link to the show, my eyes get drawn to Martin straight away. I don't know. It was like fat when he made the comment of a fat Elton John, and I just see, and my head was like, "Oh, how is Daz going to put him in?" And he's got him like sitting on the loaded square. You know what I mean? Like he's just, honestly, it's fantastic, man.
What's the Aston Villa fan doing in there next to Rich? What's going on with that?
I have an idea for Martin. If you ever change to that picture, could you make Martin more diva-like? I kind of have wings and things like that.
Don't get she's in the chat. I know she is. So don't get her started, because she'll love doing things like that. To try and make Martin evil, she'll do anything you want. Honestly,
All right.
Like the way she does things now is incredible. So yeah, she'll.
I'm gonna say, we've just hit 600 people watching this. I just want to say, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, and then after you hit the like button, make sure you've hit that subscribe button, because that will allow us move up the rankings and have a few more subscribers. We are on tracking towards 5K. We're there about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We hit 3K, and we're steadily making our way towards 5K. We'd love to try and get 5K before the start of the season. And if you are a subscriber and you like what you see, and with more and more sponsors coming up, and I'll give a shout out to the sponsors. I'll give a shout out to the sponsors now because I'll forget it later. But why not become a member? And for $1.99 per month, you get put in the draws that we never really have. We're going to have them next week. We're going to say it here now.
There is one next week for definite. Yeah.
Cool. So shout out to the sponsors. And Rich, I fly through them. You give a half an hour show on the sponsors alone yesterday. So here's a quick
gives
version.
half an hour. You're joking, aren't you?
No, that's Richie.
Oh, right.
Hey, don't stop coming for me.
Don't learn off the big man up there, Rich. Come on, man. Get things done.
1881, Bronwyn's website, and also blackandwhitearmy.com. Go check that out. Bronwyn has t-shirts, shorts, hoodies, tracksuits, and the whole lot. Check it out a bit more. And also, if you click on the in that 1881 site, there's you'll find the loaded hat in the donate section, and that all the profits from that hat go towards the food bank. So that goes to a good cause. Also, shout out to Simon and shybarnes.com and Richie. Thanks to Richie. Richie's put in some of the new merchandise from Shy Barnes. Yeah, I've been meaning to do that for ages, Richie. But check out the t-shirts, hoodies, hats. There's a load of range of stuff from Simon, and that portion of that goes towards mental health as well, of course, through Simon. Pins and prints. You all know already. Dean has a range of posters and pins, and he's always constantly changing them. So we have probably need to update our pictures there as well. As we go ahead.
He's on hold at the minute, so I'll look for any updated pictures, and it's exactly what we've got up at the minute. So there's nothing refreshed there, so it's all right.
Lovely. And Richie, I'm going to let you talk through our new sponsor. Go for it, Richie.
Hang on, hang on, Richie. Ooh. There you go.
I can use that, Paul. I can use that for next week.
How am I going to do that after that?
Oh, seriously, I need to slap something. It was just like a breaking news thing. Just sort of, ooh, new sponsor.
Jealousy between these podcasts, the podcast wars. It's crazy. It's crazy here. But sorry, Richie.
Yeah, so obviously we welcomed aboard Retro NUFC last night, and if you know them from Twitter, they've got a fantastic range of old retro original shirts going back to like the 90s. They occasionally have some of the Umbro ones from the 80s. They have a match worn range. Obviously, they've got a ASM match worn wear top on there at the minute. I think also on here there's a Pav goalkeeper top from the 96-97 season. As well, and as Dad's just shown the original Saudi Newcastle top as well. That nothing was ever said about at the time, but see, we have had that colour palette before. But the one good thing about this with retro, they're along with Shy Barnes, Pin and Prints, and NUFC memorabilia. If you go to the checkout and you buy anything, if you put in the code LOADEDMAG, you will get 10% anything on the site that you're actually buying as well. And also for the giveaway next week, we're not going to tell you exactly what it is, but we will tell you that you definitely need to be in the members draw next week because it is a match worn, a trainer worn or item that we've got for next week. So it's definitely one that you don't want to miss, and you can only win it if you're a member to the channel. And while we're on about that, obviously we mentioned yesterday, and I don't know if he's been in chat yet so far, but Michael Marsden became a member for the channel. I know Michael's a very good friend of Paul, and also Big Joe Linton's become a member as well. Obviously, he's resting up his injury at the moment, so he's decided to subscribe to one of the best NUFC content on YouTube there. So,
listen to him.
There's another one.
You start to sound like another podcast to you, Rich. Shocking.
You know what? We should review. Yeah, a lot. We should say as well. Make sure you subscribe to the Toon review, and Alex and Danielle and Billy joining Paul on these shows. I dip in and try and watch them. I never get to see them live, but watch them back whenever I can. And also, I was watching Adam's show there during the week as well, and he gave a good shout out there during the week to us. So thanks for that, Adam. Right. Thanks for that, Richie.
Can I just say as well, while we're on the subject, we had a chat before the show about what happened with Peter on Monday, and just to say from everyone at our channel that we're all behind you, mate. We mentioned it, what had happened on the fan forum on Tuesday night, and the amount of support you got from all my viewers was 100% incredible. So just to let you know, mate, we've got your back. We're all with you.
Yeah, you know what? I really appreciate it. Everyone, the support from everyone on social media, everyone in the chat for the last few shows, yourself, Adam P as well, for his shout out to. The support's fantastic. Why it happens, I have no idea. I haven't done anything to offend anybody. All I do is talk about NUFC with the likes of yourselves and everybody else.
Yeah.
No idea why it happens, but look, the support far outweighs that small 1-2% of negativity, and I'm not going to let it get me down. And I've said it to everyone that's messaged me. I said it to you, Paul.
Yep.
I said it to Ben Jacobs. I said it to many others. I'm not going to let that crap get me down, and I'm going to just keep keeping on. That's what I can do. But no, it certainly makes it a lot easier when and obviously Rachel was in the chat, who was a massive support on Monday. So thank you for that, Rachel. The support that I've had from obviously the Loaded Boys and everybody else, it means a lot, and it just kind of spurs me on to keep doing what we're doing right now, in having a fantastic chat for the last hour with yourself, Paul, and with obviously these boys from Loaded. This is what it's all about. It's just having a chat. Everyone else in the chat getting their questions in and their points. It's just fun to do.
Exactly.
Nobody should not just me, but nobody should be subjected to that kind of crap for just talking about something they're passionate about and something that they know.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So I see it now as well. You just get on with your mates and have a good laugh talking about football.
Exactly.
We do what we do. They're just sad individuals who've got no life anyway, who are just jealous. It's just jealousy, quite honestly, but they're just evil people. But hey ho, we'll not give them any more airtime.
Yeah, and as Martin said before, Pete, when we mentioned this before, across the board, if we see any of that shit on our channel, you're gone. Ejected straight away and banned. So we no room for any of that sort of stuff.
By the way, Susan's put in the comments that she's already working on a new Martin. So
he'll be delighted.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Holding the Snickers, diva. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, let's move. Richie, maybe we'll go to. Is there any questions in the chat? Has anything been starred? Or I've not checked, but Anthony, you want to bring up?
Yeah, I'll have a flick through, see what we've got here. Right. Obviously, the 5 subs was mentioned before as well. That's going to be, a great tool for us buying players as well, because obviously you're not just restricted to the 3, so it makes the squad depth a key part of it. Next, we've always been at sometimes like a threadbare squad, or we haven't had much. We've had a good, say, 11 to 13 players sort of thing, but then after that, that's where you lack the quality. So that's going to be something that's going to be a key next year. Also, obviously, Trippier for Prime Minister mentioning that Diego Costa was our second choice in the window where we were desperate. We are aiming higher than him now.
Yeah, good point.
Mohammed in the chat has also mentioned that Newcastle should sign Anthony from Ajax this summer. I know he's a good player, but I know that it's someone that Pete really likes. Pete, do you want to?
He's even stroking his beard. Look
nice?
how excited he's got there.
Guys, I have to be honest with you. If he's going to come into the Premier League, he will probably go with Ten Hag to Man United, which will be a crying shame. Yeah. If we sign Anthony, and with the Brazilian leagues, there's no reason why we couldn't. The boy he's got the world at his feet. I'll just put it that way. He's got the world at his feet. He is super talented.
God, as soon as you mentioned him, he turned into a bloody Bond villain, didn't he? Hello, Mr. Bond.
Yes, I love it. Love it.
God.
That beard actually, Pete, it's getting back to the stage it was back in this time last year from the clip earlier. It's just it's getting there.
I was disgusted with seeing that clip. I cannot believe.
You might see it again.
That long. No, please don't forget that. I don't want to see it. It was.
I want to see it again.
That beard was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And I'm much prepared to do this length. Jesus. Why did you let me get it that long? Why didn't you tell me, lads? Come on.
I don't know. You've just scared the absolute shite out of me by doing that. I'm going to have images now. Hello, Mr. Bond. I kill you. I kill you.
That's what I get like when I see a player that I really like. What a sign for Newcastle.
It's a new one on me. That's Jesus.
Yeah, it's also what happens when you have 3 brandies on the show as well.
That as well. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate. Any more questions, Rich?
Paul Oxley mentioned, obviously, we'll talk about Diego Carlos again before. He says, doesn't matter that Wilson will take to the cleaners next season. Also, regards to when we mentioned about the age of players before, about going for, like, say, 3 world-class players or, several younger players who have got the potential. See, Ryan's put those 21 to 23-year-olds are not going to just fall off. They will continue to improve. Those are the players to target, young enough to bounce through any injuries as well. And Neil Calvert, I'll do this one now, then before you want to move on, Daz. But Neil said that Mitch was tweeting today about someone to sign. His name crept up last night, but not going to be one of the names we were chasing, apparently. So, Daz, Pete, who wants to go on this? Are we going to discuss it? Or
ooh. Sure, maybe we don't want to let Paul know who this is, though.
What's Jesus Christ? You know what it is. I thought this was a collaboration.
We're only joking. Sure. Look at you got the details, lads, from chatting with Mitch last night. But I've got a picture ready to go. So over to you.
Go on then, Pete.
Why is it on me?
Because I put the question to you.
About what Mitch put out today?
Yeah. We discussed.
Come on, I've just done the breaking news noise again. You've got to say it, man.
Are you expecting me to reveal it here? What?
It was discussed last night. To be fair, I think everybody on Twitter who was putting guesses in guessed everyone bar this player.
I'll do it. I won't get you into trouble.
Not the one that was tweeted out today.
No, there was the one that you mentioned today. That
all right, lads, we've got all night here. You know what I mean? Just say the bloody name, man.
I'm not saying it. God,
Daz, you could say it. But...
What?
Okay. Do I have any obscure picture just to throw up anyone now? Just to
you have the picture ready, do you?
I know. I have.
No, man, be careful. Okay. Baz will have an exclusive before us at this date.
Here we go. I believe this could have been what was being talked about.
Oh, Jesus! What the hell's wrong with my throat, man? No, that is interesting.
What you thought, Paul? If that could
absolutely 100%, yes, no doubt about it. I'm a big fan of. I was a big fan before he had all the trouble, but now, for what he's done, quite remarkable. I mean, he could be just. I mean, can you imagine? We signed him. Callum Wilson would be licking his lips. The balls he could play through for Callum Wilson. Oh. Hang on a minute. Oh.
I've already done that when I signed that, Paul. I can't do it again. But look, boys, what? Look, nobody's saying that it's dead set. Nobody's saying it's a done deal. From
I take it you missed that one then live, did you, Paul?
Yes.
Make it good at the watch back then.
Oh, dear.
From your perspective, boys, how big would that transfer be if we were able to convince Christian Eriksen to join Newcastle United? How big would that transfer be, in your opinions?
I don't know. I'm not madly excited about it yet, right? If it happens, because I was making a play for him in January that time. Remember when he signed for Brentford? I thought I was saying he's worth a shot. Give him a chance. See how he gets on coming back. He has proven himself in the Premier League that he's able to hack it again. Still have some doubts. Like if you to say to me, Paqueta or Eriksen.
How much have you? The thing is, though, Daz, how much have you seen of Paqueta? How much have you seen him play?
The link up with Bruno.
I know what you
link.
mean. Would Sonic go and get both? Eriksen will be free. Get both.
Big bench.
Hell, who cares?
5 subs.
5 subs.
5 subs.
Do you know what, lads?
Yeah, he's a great option. Of course he is. And I used to love him when he played for Denmark. I mentioned it back in January, the time he played Ireland, and he just like they weren't they're crap anyway, but like they weren't there. He just ran everything. Now he hasn't been as good as that since that time, but look, I wouldn't say no. That's for sure.
He's one of those people. You remember a bit like how Peter Beardsley was. He never ever really had the pace. But he had the brain to where he wants to put the ball or to be in the right position and stuff like that. And you know that they always say telepathy with other players and stuff like that. This is the sort of guy that he is. He's just, it's a free transfer as well. And it's one of those where you really, if we can do the stuff. Obviously, he's played with Kieran Trippier before. Let's not forget that. So they know him. If Kieran Trippier can really, really sell that project to him, like Eddie Howe sold Trippier the project in January. So there's something here that could really, really click, and it. Obviously people might not class him as a marquee signing, but he's a marquee type player. But you're paying that without paying a marquee price for him. Do you know what I mean? I think he would be a fantastic player. You look at how he made Brentford tick in the second half of the season. I think Newcastle were lucky that he came on as a sub and we'd already won the game, and we hadn't met them a few weeks later when he was a bit more established and he'd got that chemistry up with his teammates. But I think it'd be a terrific sign if Newcastle could pull it off.
I think someone's put in the comments there, where's it gone? Daz doesn't rate Eriksen, but he's quality. You couldn't be more Irish if you tried with that comment, Daz.
No, from where he was, he was one of the best players around at one stage. Back before he even came to Spurs, I was thinking, if we could ever get him to Newcastle, you dreamland at that stage. And then he was brilliant for Spurs. And then he was going downhill before. For me, he was kind of going downhill a bit, or wasn't interested when he went to Inter. That time.
Thing is with that, Daz,
the age thing then.
Daz, a really good, interesting point you mentioned about him just before he left for Inter. If you actually watch the Tottenham Hotspur documentary, it's highlighted quite a lot in there, and you can see there's a bit of unrest behind the scenes. Yeah. Obviously, he's want to sign a deal, and it's not going to get offered and stuff like that. I think he felt as though he wasn't loved anymore by, especially the hierarchy. I think Mourinho was a bit surprised that he left. He hadn't really used him as well as Poch did, but it does give you a really good insight into how he left Spurs. And to be fair, he didn't really want to leave, did he? To be fair, but I just wanted to say on while we're on Eriksen, Chippers, I love how you always just lower the tone completely and to have you back in the chat. But we really didn't need to know this, mate. I'm sorry.
There's something wrong. Seriously, there's something wrong with that kid. There's something wrong with him. I mean, he's a lovely lad, but there is something seriously wrong upstairs or downstairs, actually. We need him. We all need to chip in and literally, pardon the pun, but we all need to chip in and send him off to Amsterdam just to get laid, because it needs to happen. He won't be like a dog in heat then. You know what I mean?
Hashtag Chippers Fund.
Hashtag Chippers Fund. Oh God Almighty! Oh,
Hashtag Dutchness.
One thing I'll add with sorry, just very quickly. The one thing I'll add with Eriksen is that you, Daz and Richie, you touched on it before. With Eriksen, you can't get the ball off him. He's not the fastest, but on the ball and his movement, you cannot get the ball off him. He's a bit like, he reminds me a little bit of Paul Scholes in midfield. He just finds those pockets of space where you just can't get near him. His movement's too good. And you imagine him, and I think someone else put it in the chat, you imagine him with Bruno in that midfield.
Well, the thing is as well, Pete, if we're talking about building a squad, then why not go for them both? You know, like we've said, Eriksen will be free. So it's can you imagine just having them to fall back on as well? You know, you've got Bruno there already. You've got Joe Linton, who will only get better playing around these kind of players in this new position he's found. You've got Joe Willock, who we haven't mentioned. You know, Eriksen there, Shelvey possibly still there, Sean Longstaff as well. So for me, that would bulk up our midfield. If we went for them two, our centre mid would be, for me, fine, and we could turn our attention elsewhere.
And am I right in thinking it would be a free transfer?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, yeah. But also, I want to say, I suppose maybe when I think of how we're rebuilding, and maybe I'm going about it the wrong way as well, but I'm always thinking about bringing in youth and getting the most out of them, and then bringing someone that has if we're paying money for them, has a sell-on value. But I guess we need to mix and match as well. We need a bit of experience. So let's see what happens. The other topic that has been coming up as well today on Twitter is the likelihood, and I think Stu Penman mentioned it on Matters, of Dan Ashworth. Well, we know he's coming, but it's just a matter of when, that it may drop in the next week or so. So hopefully that does happen sooner rather than later, and we don't have to wait till November for it to go through. But any thoughts on that, lads? And especially have it happen maybe in the next week or so?
I think it's going to happen. I think it's inevitable, to be honest, whether it's November or it's in the summer. Personally, I'd rather get him in, as Stu put, get him in hopefully in the next week or two. And then see, nobody can convince me otherwise that he's not doing stuff behind the scenes anyway, or speaking to people. I mean, I'm not going to create a court case here or anything like that, just for legal purposes. By the way, this is just my assumption, that he can actually, do stuff like that. So I think he's right. I think it could be the next couple of weeks. But it's one of them things where we just have to wait and see, isn't it? We can't. What the hell is that?
It's because of stiff gaiters. Stiff gaiters. That's a great comment. I love it.
Yeah, they're going for all our stuff. Yeah, actually, yeah. But yeah, I can see it happening sooner rather than later. I'm sure Newcastle want to get it sorted as well, and probably Brighton do as well. He's sitting on their still sitting on their payroll, isn't he? He's gone gardening leave, so they'll want him off the payroll. They'll want to move on. Everybody just want to move on. Just agreeing a fee.
And just before we move on, and I'm not going to give too much details here, Richie, so don't worry. But when we have more solid confirmation around Dan Ashworth coming in, we are going to have a nice little show to kick that off. I'm not going to say nothing else. So stay tuned for that. And that's something Richie has been working on for a while. Lads, any more?
No, I'm slightly disappointed it isn't Dan Ashworth, unfortunately. In case anyone's wondering, I'd love it to be Dan Ashworth, but unfortunately it's not.
It's his uncle.
Yes. Twice removed.
Any much talk and Dan Ashworth, lads? Thoughts?
It's a done deal. It's a done deal. Like Paul said, he's coming to Newcastle. It's just a case of them finding a compensation, and the perfect time to find the compensation. We as a group talked about it a while back. The perfect time to find a compensation is in the close season, when there's no emphasis on Premier League football, when the signings have already been identified for both clubs. So therefore, Brighton know who they're going for, Newcastle know who they're going for. He's not had an influence, or not seen to have an influence on any of them. So therefore, they move in. Simple. Oh my God's sake! I just got that message. Jesus Christ.
I'm out of topics, lads. Any topics you want to bring up?
Pete?
I think we've got some questions in the chat, haven't we? From the chat.
Let's have a look. Dan Brown's put up a good one on here as well, and I know it's an interesting one because I've actually heard that apparently he's our number one target. Is obviously there's Ndicka and Bremer and Botman, as targets that Nixon's looking at. Now we know that Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall went to the Europa Cup final last week, and they were having a look at Ndicka, actually in the flesh rather than just watching videos. Bremer, the Torino defender, he's the one thing I've heard about this, and I don't know if Pete might be able to clarify this. I've heard that apparently there's a deal lined up with taking him to Inter. I don't know whether you've heard anything on that one, Pete.
Bremer?
Yeah.
There's been heavily linked to be moving to Inter Milan, which then begs the question of who's going to be moving out of Inter Milan, because they've got a pretty steady centre back player in. I think it's one of the Serbian lads. I can't remember his name now, but he's a terrific player. But I know he's been with a lot of big clubs. So, is that the case? Is that they're going to move one out to get Bremer in? He's a good player. Ndicka is a good player. Botman, for me, I'd have him over both, because I think his potential is greater than the other two. Sean Casey might not agree with me. He's always sided with Ndicka is kind of a bigger potential. But look, it's about opinions. But let's not get it twisted. Any one of those players significantly improves our centre-back pairings.
Yeah.
About it, that all three of them are very, very good players.
Yeah, and just going on the bottom of the year with Gary Venables has brought the chat. Obviously, it's something that we discussed last night in chat, and it's been a discussion point on Twitter today with Mitch and Sean. Gary Venables, AC Milan being investigated for financial irregularities for a year or two back. Maybe that's why the deal for Botman has stalled. Obviously,
That's exactly why it hasn't gone through. The only person that said it was a done deal was the legend that is John Sinclair, who called Manchester United's new manager Eric the Eagle on his thumbnail for last night's show. Evening, John. But listen, I'm pretty sure that's why it hasn't gone through, because maybe they've been told that they can't do anything yet until that's been investigated.
Eric the Eagle, the Dutch ski jumper. Gee, mate.
Honestly, you can't make it up, man.
Surprisingly, Lille have been being investigated as well. Shock that they're both kind of intertwined at the moment. Deal has been in place for a long time. So, Newcastle taking advantage of that situation. Is Botman saying, well, with all that stuff going on, I actually wanted to go to Newcastle anyway in January. Is that pushing the deal further forward? I think we'll probably find out in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But if we can take advantage of that, then.
Daz, did you just put out a question to your viewers there?
No, that was Chris.
It was Chris?
No, that was me.
I was going to say.
What is going on there? I've got one question for you guys.
Obviously, there's more viewers now, so let people have a laugh, ha, ha, ha.
Paul, we would never take advantage of people laughing at you.
You lying boss, you would.
Hey, I got a slag the last time I was on your show.
It was payback. No, it was banter. That's what I call it. This is just absolute defamation.
It's you.
Me and you's going to be the next Amber Heard Johnny Depp case.
Oh,
I don't want to know which one's shitting on someone's bed and blaming the dog.
No.
I was about to say, which one's Amber Heard? Who's Amber Heard out of the two?
No. Oh.
Let's move on.
Yes, please.
Question. I tagged this one earlier. Gareth Bale supposedly in talks. Pay as you play, 1 year with an option for an extra one. Would you sign Gareth Bale for a year? What do you think, boys?
Yeah, because he'd sell the jerseys. And it's what isn't Stu and Mitch said that about 2 weeks ago or so about Gareth Bale. Look, it is what it is. It would pay for itself. The deal. Gareth Bale on his day is class. You know, when he came back to Spurs, there was a few games he scored a couple of goals and not just one, a few in a few of the games. But look, if I think it kind of hinges on if Wales qualify, then he'll want to be playing at the highest level. And as I think Stu said, as an example, he might even just, if they don't qualify, he might even just go play for Cardiff or something like that. But his priority is Wales, number one, golf, number two, and it'll be the team he plays for next, number three. But so yeah, but I take him, and as pair him up there as well with on the bench as an option along with Christian Eriksen as well. Why not?
Can you believe we're talking like this time last summer? If somebody said, "Would you have Bale or not?" I mean, Christ Almighty! And now some people are saying, "No, we wouldn't have Gareth Bale." I mean, how far has this club come? You know what I mean? Unbelievable. I'd give him a season on a pay-as-you-play, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, you're about to only see him when the weather's dull because on the fine days he's going to be probably at Close House or somewhere like that anyway. So you'd probably see him best in the winter, and that'll be it anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
I was actually just going to bring this one before, Pete, but obviously we were touched on Leo briefly, and there was, I think, NUFC 360 put a tweet out this morning, apparently linking us with Jonathan David. Obviously, we know he's a fantastic talent, Canadian international. Pete, do you want to go in a bit more depth onto that one?
Jonathan David, I think we're gonna watching him very closely in the World Cup in Qatar. Obviously, going away with Canada. It's an interesting one. I had a bit of a chat with my brother about this because I was like, when I saw the link, I was like, wow, like that'd be a fantastic signing. And he was like, would it really? And I was like, why? And then he kind of broke it down for me, and he was like, 13 goals in the first half of the season, hit the ground running, fantastic. Didn't have the best season last season, but it was like other players that brought Lille through to win the title. Botman being a big part of that from the back. But 3 goals in the second half of the season.
Yeah, he's been crap last second half.
Two against one team. I'm not sure if it was against Nice or Nantes. I can't remember. And then I'm starting to think, do we really need that? Do we really need to pay big money? And the one thing that he mentioned to me is that Lille are going to want a big fee for him. Now, would you really want a big fee paid out by Newcastle for a striker that scored 3 goals in the second half of the season? I just,
Chris Wood scored 2.
60 million. Do you, from what I've just said, 13 goals in the first half of the season, great half of the season. 3 goals in the second half of the season, 2 against one club. I think it was Nice that he scored against, which was a few weeks ago. Would you be paying 60 million for that striker?
No.
The Eddie Howe factor.
And when he said that to me, you're right. It could well be. But are you
22?
Are you going to throw 60 million away on something that could potentially be that way? We look at Joe Linton, Shaw, Shelvey, that benefited from Eddie Howe, but they were already at the club. If Eddie Howe had the choice to move 1 or 2 of them out, he may well have done to get better players in. Would you spend 60 million on that and try and build that? I don't know. I might be wrong in thinking about it. When he broke it down, I was kind of thinking, that was kind of my overriding thought. I was like, okay.
Statos put a good point there. He scored the only goals he scored in 2022 were against Clermont Foot and Nice. Not exactly big teams. So
that's made me start to think differently. When I first heard the link, I was like, yeah, brilliant. Like, he's the type of guy. I thought he'd go to a top club. And so when he was linked with it, I was thinking that perfect striker. Similar quality to Wilson, maybe even slightly better potentially with years to go. But then he kind of threw that curveball in when he threw in a few stats. I was a bit like, oh, okay, not quite sure now. Because we need to, and I don't know whether you guys agree, if we're going to sign a striker, and we know as Newcastle fans, we love a striker. If we're going to sign a striker, we need to know that he's guaranteed goals. Callum Wilson, when fit, guarantees goals. He's a fucking brilliant striker. He proved that against Burnley. He proved it against Arsenal, although he didn't score. He bullied them. But if we're going to go and get better than Callum Wilson, if we're going to go and get a first choice striker, we need to know that guy gets goals. Someone mentioned in the chat just a second ago, Patrick Schick just signed a new deal. Actually, I think.
Today.
Today. So Arsenal and us will heavily linked with him. He's not going anywhere. He guarantees goals. He's a top striker. We need to go out and get a top striker. Me and Rich have talked about for ages now. Darwin Núñez. He's a guy that scores goals. He can score goals with his head, left foot, right foot, pacing him behind, guaranteed. I don't know if Jonathan David's the guy. And my brother Lee, he threw a little bit of doubt on me today with that. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know what people think in the chat.
I think Mark Redmond summed it up perfectly. He'd rather have Craig David.
Yeah, I think he's had a poor second half to the season. A bit like Foxy's just put in the comments there. Isak, he's had a very difficult second half to the season. These guys were definitely in the names that were going around back in January, but they've gone downhill. So you have to ask yourself why. Is it just that the team isn't playing very well, or they're out of form, or is something else going on? We have to be careful with signing these strikers because, like Pete said, we love a striker here, and I firmly believe that Eddie Howe is going to work with Callum Wilson in pre-season and attempt to keep him fit. I think Callum Wilson's fitness problems come down to the previous regime. I know he was injured at Bournemouth, but it wasn't the same kind of injuries. It's been muscular, which says to me that he's not fit enough, and that's happened to a few players this season. So maybe we'll see Wilson a lot more this next season than we have this. But we do need another one in who we know that is going to come in and do the same as Pete says, bully people, score goals. Rather than a Chris Wood who just stands there like a frigging oak tree. We need somebody who's going to be mobile, making runs in the channels, causing the defence all sorts of trouble. Look what Wilson did against Arsenal. He bullied their centre-backs from start to finish. And he did it. He was, again, playing well against Burnley. He's just a threat whenever you get the ball up there. So we have to be very vigilant with signing a striker because we can't afford to sign another flop. Been too many of them over the years.
I have to say, I did see him play in a Lille game when I was keeping an eye on Botman, and he didn't do much in that game. But perhaps he's just one of those guys that's on the list. Maybe Darwin Núñez is our top striking target or whoever, and he's just further down the list. So it's maybe why his name could be coming out, or it could be just agent talk as well. Like there's so many more names being linked every day, and there will be all summer.
He's desperate to leave. And Jonathan David is basically his agents come out and said he is leaving Lille this summer.
Yeah,
they want out. They want out. They want done with it. They've had an awful season. Botman wants out. He said weeks ago he's done. This is his last season. Jonathan David said the same. I'll be honest with you. If I'm going to take two players from Lille, I'm taking Botman. And I'm taking Renato Sanchez. Like, I'd rather take him. Yeah, I do. I think he's a supreme talented player. I take Paqueta above him and Eriksen above him, of course. But if we couldn't get one of those two, I would take him as the next option. He was about to go to AC Milan at the end of the transfer window for like 20, 25 million euros. Like, That's nothing. And he's a top player. He's only 24. Like, if I was going to take anyone out of that team, it would be, if I'm going to take any 2 players out of the team, it would be those 2. You know, that's just me. But...
Cool. Richie, any more questions or comments?
There's a few people who have mentioned Patrick Schick. Obviously, we discussed he's just signed a new contract, but you know his goal scoring record's been put in there. But you know, when he was in Italy, wasn't really good at all. Life goals mentioned about Ibrahimovic is available now. By the way, however, it wasn't, I think, announced yesterday. He went under the knife on for a knee injury, which is going to keep him out for the majority of this year. So obviously that's probably going to keep him out of the World Cup as well. I don't know if whether Sweden have qualified or not, but it would keep him out of the World Cup if they were going. I do know that. Pete, you going to say something?
I was going to say, Ibrahimovic put an Instagram post out today. He played for the last 8 months without an ACL.
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
He played without
Incredible. It's just unbelievable.
He was having to get his knee drained every week. He was out. I think he said in the last 6 months he trained 10 times in the last 6 months in the build up to matches. Was playing matches, was getting his knee drained every week.
Paul McGrath.
He said he couldn't sleep most nights because of the pain of his leg, but he still played every week, and he ended up shooting them and playing a part in them winning the title. If you ever wanted commitment and blood, sweat and tears for the cause, at 40 odd years old, Ibrahimovic is the man. He doesn't just say these things, he means it. And he's just proving it again at 40 odd years old that he's won the Serie A, playing without an ACL, like unbelievable. And this might be the last game he ever plays because he's not sure if he's going to come back after this. It's the second ACL he's had. So it just an unbelievable animal of a player. Love him. Absolutely.
Rulin's laughing out. No, just that draws a line.
Paul's mate from Toon Review Stat was made a great point when we were talking about Eriksen as well. That Eriksen's in the 99th percentile of midfielders for switches, crosses, high passes, and shot creating actions. He's free. And also Stiff Gators follows on from that what we mentioned before. If you're going to sign a 30-year-old, you want someone with a point to prove or still hungry. Trippier, Eriksen types, not the Bale types. This is another link that has been come on from Bayer Leverkusen today. Apparently, Newcastle will make a formal offer for Moussa Diaby in the coming days, according to L'Equipe. Now, I know that we've had this conversation with Lee before, and does Lee class L'Equipe as a credible source on that one there, Pete?
They've been up and down over the years, but they can be quite credible. There's a few out there that are not. I think it's Foot Mercer that he's mentioned previously that are not great. There are a few. We've had conversations about this because, look, as you would expect, is in being my brother and a journalist that focuses on French football. Anything that comes out from France, I kind of go and I'm saying, is this kosher? Is this viable? Like, is it believable? And he'll come back and he'll go, yeah, they're quite good. He'll even single out individual French journalists, and he'll know whether they're credible or whether they're good or not. L'Equipe have been quite up and down with things, but more recently they've been more credible with their information. But I haven't seen it personally on social media. Obviously, we've been on the show tonight, so I've not seen it, but I will double check it with him. And yeah, look, we already know the boys that Lee will be back. He's already confirmed he's buzzing for the transfer shows. He's going to be coming back with some more information. He's got some hidden gems as well that he's been talking to me about in French football from what he's been watching, the players to look out for. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer. That's for sure.
I actually went back and wrote down all the names of the players he mentioned over the shows where it was on with us, Pete, because there was some crackers there, and some that I'm sure will pop up again when we're talking during the summer.
Yeah. Foxy's just touched on another one where regards Jonathan David and says it's a bit similar with Alexander Isaac. Good players, but not worth the price tag. Obviously, he's been linked a few times from Real Sociedad. Is he a sort of player that you'd be interested in, Paul?
Again, similar to David, he's had a rotten second half of the season. But again, have Sociedad played well? You've got to ask yourself that. And look, he's big enough and strong enough to perform in the Premier League. We've seen him for Sweden. He does boss centre backs around. But again, I'm with Pete. I just think we need to go with someone who is regularly banging them in the net, rather than taking a chance. Yeah. Say, well, he hasn't played well for 6 months, but he could do this or he could do that. We're at the stage now where we've got the funds, we've got the stability now to go out and say, right, let's go and get an absolute high quality, proven goal scorer. There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. Daz, I'll move on to this one of you. This was doing the rounds this morning, and some people were saying it was true. This is coming from fans of his own team. Other people say it was a complete wind-up. I don't know whether I can actually see this one happen. I just think that we might let him go. But apparently there was Jared Bowen rumours around this morning. Apparently going to be in Newcastle tomorrow, apparently. But obviously there's a lot of West Ham fans saying that, other ones saying it wasn't, and it was a joke and stuff like that. What did you make of that when you saw them this morning?
I thought that one was a joke, to be honest with you. So I can't see that. I think
he's admitted it was a hoax, didn't he?
They confirmed it, yeah.
It's just one of those that just doesn't fit. He's been their best player all season. Do you know what I mean? He scored, I think, was it 18 goals this season, 12 assists or something. We blew our chance getting Jared Bowen when Steve Bruce rejected him. We could have had him for a snip. It was all lined up, apparently, just waiting for Steve Bruce to say, yeah, I'll have him. But what was Steve Bruce said? I don't think he'll cut the mustard in the Premier League. Well, he proved him wrong, didn't he? But he proved, like everyone else knows, he knows now about fucking football. Yeah. Pete, James Lawrence Alcott, obviously another fantastic YouTuber, and has been doing some fantastic Newcastle content recently as well. And his latest video said that Gakpo would be a good fit for Newcastle.
Gakpo, all right. I've been having this conversation today.
I'm waiting.
I've been having this conversation today, and I hope they're watching because I messaged them to say we're on tonight. But the Daryl, who's a big fan of the channel, a big fan of Todd Cantwell as well.
I remember that.
And Darren mentioned about Gakpo. He'd heard that apparently we're interested in it. He's a talented boy. He's a very, very talented boy. If I'm right in thinking, 22 goal contributions this season for PSV. He's plays off the left, which is interesting because that's ASM's current position. Likes to cut inside, good finisher, got pace about him. I think he would be a very, very good signing, and a signing that is more than affordable for Newcastle United. But with these boys, with the boys that I was chatting to earlier, I threw out an alternative, and he's a player that plays for Feyenoord, and it's Sanitera. I can't pronounce his name right.
Is that Sinistera, the one at Feyenoord?
Sinistera, that's the one. Again, plays off the left. Plays very much like ASM. Got that magic to weave in and out of players off that left-hand side, shoot from distance. I threw that out as an alternative option. Both can play on the right, predominantly play on the left, but can do a job on the right as well. And we could maybe mix and match. But any one of those two players, I would say, 100%, but Gakpo has had the better season out of the two, so I would say he'd be the guy to go for us. Although I can't pronounce his name, I keep forgetting.
Sinistera.
He's got more pace. I think he's got more pace and more direct. But both of them top players. But Gakpo, yes.
Okay, and obviously I'm looking cute. Looking at the time there. So what I'll do is I'll just ask you just basically yes or no answers to these ones, okay? So Rashford.
No.
Paul?
No, not a chance in hell.
It's a no. I thought we were thinking about it about a couple of months ago, probably with Stephen Peter, I remember, but no.
No bother. Jamie Vardy would be a good shout. Rotate with Wilson and Vardy.
No, I think what age is he now? No, and a lot of
He's
baggage too.
36 now or something,
with the
isn't
wife. No,
not for me.
35. He's not someone you can hang your future on, but for a season, if you could get us into Europe and then say thank you very much, and then we can invest, maybe if it was a low price, 10 million, I'd pay that for him because he's guaranteed goals. But look, he'll finish his career at Leicester. He loves it.
I think so too. He could have gone to Arsenal that time, and if he really wanted to move, when no, he's seen out of Leicester. So Ben Jacobs can keep him.
Our good friend Shane Mawson, he said obviously there's rumours that Henderson deals close. Darlow plus cash the other way, perhaps. I can't see Darlow going to Man United.
I've seen them reports about Darlow. I can't see Man United interested in him. I think Darlow's going to end up at Middlesbrough myself, but we'll see.
Yep. And we just had one little comment that Pete Diago wants to know. I want Sanger from PSV, top CDM, 6'3".
Very good player. But that's if we're going for a defensive midfielder. If we're going for a defensive midfielder, he'd be a guy that we'd look at. That's for sure. But for me, I think we're looking for a more fluid midfield, which is why I don't think we'll probably go for him this summer.
Yeah. There you go, Daz.
That's all the questions. All right.
Yeah.
I think we'll start bringing it to a close then, lads. I want to thank Paul. Don't run away, anyone, because we're going to play that intro as an outro before and you want to hang around for that if you haven't seen it at the start.
You really don't.
You want to see it again. I know you do. But thanks everyone for joining us tonight. There's 653 people in the chat now. We will be back next week. We don't know what we're doing yet. We have a few ideas, but we'll need to talk about it and come up with a plan. Pete, as I stand up in the air.
Yeah. I'll talk to you boys after the show, but Jordan Cronin's just confirmed his availability for next week. There we go. Yeah, the Fully Loaded Transfer Show could well be in full effect for next week, so keep an eye out for that because we are ready. I think we're ready to get rolling.
That means more posters for me. Bring it on. We might pop on to see you as well, Paul, sometime.
Yes,
you never know.
We will set that up definitely, 100%. Because I'm sure between now and any time next week, there's going to be another 100 names added to the list, isn't there? So there'll be plenty to talk about.
Exactly. So we just another hand up in the air again, Pete. Yes, you're not in school.
I messaged my brother just because of the Diarmi links. I'd not seen Diarmi links. I'd not seen them, obviously, because we've been on the show. And I've just said, "What are your thoughts?" And he's just come back to me. He said, "If Lekip reporting it, then it's very credible. He's gutted because he never wanted Diarmi to leave PSG when he went over to Leverkusen. He said he's such a good player." So if you could get him, it will be a big signing for Newcastle United. So he feels that it's credible. Let's see how it unravels. There's another player. I just want to put out there. There's another player that he feels Newcastle would be very, very interested in signing, that he would love at PSG, but may not get at PSG because of Mbappe staying, that he might touch on next week. So let's keep hold of that for the Fully Loaded Transfer Show.
Lee and Jordan next week.
Oh, you bastard.
Wow. That'll be some show. Maybe you might have to drop on at some stage, Paul, as well, to say hello. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Didn't look fussed there, was you, Paul?
No, I just had a fly past my nose, and I was just yeah, I will. Of course I will if you want. That's fine. No problem at all.
At some stage, yeah. Over the summer, we'll get you on for one of those shows.
Cool.
I was about to say, you could obviously, since you dropped the bombshell and dropped Dave Lee in it last week in regards to his exploits when he was younger, I thought you might be wanting some tips for reality TV, Paul.
Oh, Rich, that's low. That's low. That's low.
I wouldn't even go there,
thought better of you than that, than to stoop to his level.
No, you had a dig at me before. I'll pay it back, mate.
Not once have I ever done
week.
anything to you, Rich, to deserve such a comment, such a low blow in the bollocks as that. I'm telling you now, that was low. I'm winded by that.
You're about 6'6", I'm 5'7". So I was going to be a low blow, mate.
Well, you could just run into us and your head would collide with the meat and veg, wouldn't it? So, honestly.
On that note, on that image, as we leave everyone for tonight, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Paul, for joining us as well.
You're very welcome.
Make sure you subscribe to the Toon Review, and make sure you like this video and subscribe to us. Pete, you're not coming to hand up again, are you?
We've had over 50 new subscribers during the show tonight. So massive thank you to everyone that subscribed to the channel.
Brilliant.
If you haven't already, click that subscribe button. As we've already said, lots more collabs with Toon Review.
I've seen a lot of comments coming in from people I know who subscribe to me, and they've said they've found the channel through mine, which is exactly what the collab's all about. So
nice one.
And they've subscribed, so that's exactly what the collab's for.
And of course, remember we're now called Loaded Mag NUFC. So if anyone's ever looking for us on YouTube, to type it in.
And do stay tuned for the new cartoon Martin, which will be coming very soon.
Oh, can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Right, we'll leave you with this. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
To bring on our guest for the night, I want to bring on Paul. Just before we're going to bring on Paul because he is heading off. He's going to be appearing on Love Island now next week. So we just caught him before he got on the show. So welcome, Paul.